Face it, Henry, you're too stuck in the Stone Age to grasp blockchain, he sneered, tossing a termination letter onto his desk like it was a napkin. My name is Henry Zhao, 57 years old, and for 20 years I was the senior financial strategist at NovaPay, a brash fintech startup in Miami, Florida, processing payments for clients like ShopSphere. I'd crafted risk models that saved millions, sniffed out fraud before it hit, and turned a chaotic startup into a player handling $8 billion in transactions. But our new CEO, Ethan Cruz, 30, with a crypto bro swagger and a blockchain fetish, decided my experience was a bug, not a feature. It was a sweltering June morning in 2025, the Miami humidity thick enough to choke. Ethan's office was a startup cliché: beanbags, neon signs, a crypto ticker flashing on a screen. "We're all in on blockchain with Chain Pulse," he said, smirking. "It's self-auditing, unhackable, and doesn't need your old-school spreadsheets. We can hire 4 coders for your salary." I stared at the letter, my blood simmering. 20 years, dodging scams, mentoring kids into CFOs, earning ShopSphere's trust, flushed in a second. "What about fraud checks?" I asked, my tone sharp enough to cut glass. Ethan laughed. "Chain Pulse's smart contracts handle that. We're rolling it out for ShopSphere in 2 weeks. 3 months severance. That's generous, Henry." Generous? I nearly snorted. I thought of my team, people like Nina, who could trace a shady payment in seconds, or Raj, who'd stopped a $1.5 million heist. I thought of my wife, Clara, planning our retirement cabin, and my son, Leo, grinding through law school. But I didn't beg. I signed the papers, pocketed my badge, and walked out, the office's hum like a fading pulse. In the break room, I packed my desk. A photo of Leo, a dog-eared risk manual, a ShopSphere plaque. My team huddled, faces tight. "Blockchain's taking our jobs?" Nina hissed. I nodded. "Check your inboxes." HR's termination emails landed like grenades, axing 5 senior analysts. The air turned sour. I left with a small box, Miami's heat wrapping me like a shroud. My phone pinged in the lot. A text from Raj. "Chain Pulse is hemorrhaging funds in tests. Ethan's sweeping it under the rug." At home, Clara handed me an iced tea, her eyes searching mine as I slumped on our porch. "What's the move, Henry?" she asked. I gave a bitter chuckle. "Survive, I guess." But I was itching for a fight. I'd seen Chain Pulse's beta. Transactions vanishing, contracts misfiring, holes big enough for a hacker to drive through. I flashed back to 2008, when I saved my first firm from a Ponzi scheme by trusting my gut. Ethan was betting NovaPay's future on a blockchain that was a house of cards, and I knew it'd collapse. I needed to be ready when it did. NovaPay was a garage operation when I joined in 2005, processing payments for local shops. I built our financial backbone, anti-fraud algorithms, audit systems, risk models that cut losses by 35%. We grew to handle ShopSphere's $8 billion in transactions, with 0 major breaches. When VCs swooped in 2 years ago, they demanded exponential growth. NovaPay was a garage operation when I joined in 2005, processing payments for local shops. I built our financial backbone, anti-fraud algorithms, audit systems, risk models that cut losses by 35%. We grew to handle ShopSphere's $8 billion in transactions with 0 major breaches. When VCs swooped in 2 years ago, they demanded exponential growth. They hired Ethan 9 months ago to revolutionize, and he was drunk on Chain Pulse, claiming it would have fees. The red flags were neon. Ethan shot down my hybrid plan, blockchain for microtransactions, Human audits for big ones. Too slow, he scoffed. He brought in Chainpulse's coders, crypto kids who didn't know payment flows. They trailed my team, asking basic questions about escrow accounts. I obliged, but I saw Chainpulse's smart contracts skip fraud checks I'd honed for decades. In a beta test, I flagged a $300,000 transaction that disappeared. But Ethan waved it off. Glitch, he said. We'll patch post-rollout. A week before the axe fell, Ethan swaggered by my desk. ShopSphere's rollout is our moonshot, he bragged. Chainpulse will land us a $150 million deal. I should have smelled the layoffs, but I was too busy untangling a contract bug that cost a client $20,000. The first call hit 3 days after I was fired. I was tweaking my LinkedIn when my phone buzzed. Ethan's name glared. I let it go to voicemail. Henry, it's Ethan. Chainpulse is struggling with some transactions. Could you consult? $350 an hour. I deleted it, my lips curling. Later, Nina texted. Blockchain's eating payments. Ethan's in denial. Rollouts in 10 days. That night, I cracked open my old work laptop, where I'd stashed audit logs and beta reports. Keeping them was a gray area, but 20 years of paranoia paid off. The reports screamed trouble. Chainpulse failed 12% of transactions over $100,000, with contracts freezing or misallocating funds. I dug up an email I'd sent Ethan, warning that Chainpulse's developer, Blockwave, was under fire for buggy blockchain systems. His reply? Thanks, but we're locked in. Clara caught me at 2 a.m., my face lit by the screen. You're planning something, she said, half smiling. They're about to implode, I muttered, and I'll be there to pick up the pieces. I needed more than logs. I called Raj, still at NovaPay, too principled to bail. Can you snag Chainpulse's latest contract logs? I asked. He sighed. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen, Henry, but I'll try. He added that Ethan was fast-tracking the rollout to woo investors. The next day, I got an email from Apex Transactions, a rival fintech. Their CFO, Victor Reyes, wrote, Henry, heard about NovaPay. Your fraud record's unmatched. Interested in a lead role? I set a meeting for tomorrow. That afternoon, Raj slipped me a USB drive via courier containing contract logs. They were a horror show. Unverified transactions, funds siphoned to ghost wallets, likely a backdoor for hackers or Blockwave itself. 2 days later, Ethan showed up at my house, his Cybertruck gleaming under the palms. Henry, we're screwed, he said, sweat beading on his brow. Chainpulse is losing funds. The rollout's in 6 days. $900 an hour. 1 day. Name it. I leaned against the doorframe, picturing my team, tossed like garbage. Got a meeting tomorrow, I said coolly. Good luck. His face twisted. You're burning bridges, Henry. We'll make sure no one touches you. I shut the door, my smirk fading to steel. The Apex meeting was a breath of air. Victor, a sharp-eyed veteran in his 60s, knew my work from ShopSphere audits. Your models are bulletproof, he said over Cuban coffee. We're scaling, but we need someone who gets risk, not just crypto dreams. Lead our strategy. He offered a 20% raise and stock options. Why me? I asked. Victor grinned. We tried blockchain, lost $500,000 in a week. Humans catch what code doesn't. I signed on. But my mind was on NovaPay's crash. Nina called that night, her voice tight. Henry, it's a bloodbath. Chainpulse lost $3 million in tests. Ethan's lying to ShopSphere. She'd saved a ledger of failed transactions, which she emailed me. I cross-referenced it with Raj's logs, confirming Blockwave's blockchain had a backdoor, siphoning funds after execution. But the demo wasn't my stage. I needed to wait for the collapse, and be ready to clean it up. 5 days later, the news hit. NovaPay's blockchain crashed during a live ShopSphere transaction, losing $10 million in payments. Social media exploded. Hashtag NovaPay fail trended. Clients raged. Investors pulled funding. Ethan called me at midnight, his voice ragged. "Henry, we're bleeding. Chain pulse is down. Can you fix it? $2,000 an hour." I leaned back, savoring the moment. "Send me the contract logs," I said. "I'll look." He did, and I spent 48 hours dissecting them with Nina and Raj. Now, consultants on my dime. The backdoor was blatant. Blockwave's code diverted funds to untraceable wallets after a delay, a scam to force paid patches. I traced 60% of the $10 million to a recovery wallet, using my old audit tricks. I sent the findings to Victor at Apex, who pitched ShopSphere a rescue plan. Apex would recover the funds and integrate NovaPay's clients, with me leading the transition. ShopSphere, desperate, agreed. I met Ethan at NovaPay's office, now half empty. His confidence shattered. "You found the money?" he asked, eyes hollow. "Most of it," I said, handing him a drive with my report. "Blockwave rigged it. Your blockchain was a trap." He slumped. "Can you stay? We'll double your salary." I shook my head. "Apex is handling ShopSphere now. I'm done here." I walked out, the weight of 20 years lifting. Victor called that night. "ShopSphere's signing with us," he said. "Your recovery plan sold it. Start Monday?" I nodded, a spark igniting. NovaPay's board fired Ethan a week later, after ShopSphere ditched them. Nina texted. "They're begging for help. Raj is with Apex." I didn't reply, focused on Apex's risk system. Blockchain for small transactions, audits for the big ones. A year later, I stood in Apex's Miami office, running a 20-person team. ShopSphere signed a $200 million deal, praising our stability. I trained every analyst, codifying every check, ensuring no blockchain could blindside us. Victor made me VP of Financial Strategy, with a view of Biscayne Bay. One day, Ethan emailed, now at a sinking crypto venture. "Henry, any openings at Apex?" I screwed up. I didn't reply. Failure's a harsh teacher. Driving home, Leo's law school diploma on the dash, I thought of Clara, of value, of experience, of systems that hold. I hadn't chased revenge. I'd rebuilt and let the crash bury the rest. That was enough.